This artifact was created through a human-AI collaborative workflow. Episode 3 is titled Meaning Makes It Mine. It explores how an AI-collaborated structure can become human-owned capability. The path is simple but deep. AI helps organize scattered ideas into a starting structure. Practice tests that structure and makes it reliable. Meaning gives the human a reason to begin, stay, repeat, and refine. And only then does the structure become truly mine. This is the formula for capability. AI builds the structure. Practice makes it reliable. Meaning makes it mine. Each part matters. AI can reduce the initial noise of the blank page. Practice tests the structure against timing, fatigue, and real execution. But meaning changes the whole process. It transforms external compliance into authentic ownership. Capability is not only having a structure. Capability is being able to return to it, use it, and recognize it as your own. A structure is not yet capability. AI can rapidly generate outlines, concept maps, slides, and workflows. But even a beautiful structure is not mastery by itself. Between external scaffolding and internalized logic, there is a gap. That gap includes fatigue, timing, movement, attention drift, memory, and instability. The structure must survive contact with human attention. It must be practiced, tested, adapted, and explained. Only then can an external structure become human capability. AI can be a powerful partner. It accelerates formation. It organizes scattered thoughts, generates first drafts, and reduces the variation of the blank page. But the human remains the source. The human provides the reason to stay. The human tests boundaries, refines the structure, and gives it a body through repeated engagement. AI gives the starting structure, but practice gives the structure a human body. That is the boundary of collaboration. Practice is not simply repetition. Repetition repeats an action. Practice observes variation. This distinction is important. If repetition blindly accepts instability, the same weakness can continue again and again. But practice notices the accidental differences between intention and execution. It notices pressure, hesitation, timing, fatigue, and attention drift. Repetition becomes practice only when variation becomes visible. That is how a structure begins to become reliable. Authentic controllability does not mean reducing all variation. It means separating meaningless noise from meaningful freedom. Some variation should be reduced. Unclear questions, unstable terminology, poor alignment, and scattered attention can block real expression. But other variation should be protected. Artistry, conceptual choice, tone, flow, and interpretation are not errors. They are human signal. We do not reduce variation to become robotic. We reduce meaningless noise to make space for meaningful freedom. This slide uses a performance metaphor. A miracle becomes method when hidden variation is understood. Scattered energy must be translated into executable design. In athletics, this may mean redirecting horizontal speed into vertical lift. In knowledge work, it means transforming scattered ideas into a repeatable architecture. The point is not the specific example. The point is the principle. What looks like a miracle becomes more understandable when the hidden sources of variation are controlled. Reliability is not luck. Reliability is systematic defect reduction. In this visual model, the goal is to stabilize the center. High system noise creates uncontrolled execution. Practice reduces standard deviation. It compresses uncontrolled variation and pushes the system closer to the target. In human performance, this does not mean becoming mechanical. It means reducing the noise that prevents a person from acting freely, clearly, and meaningfully. When meaningless variation is high, attention is consumed by repair and survival. The person must keep fixing mistakes, hesitation, timing, and alignment. There is little attention left for higher-order meaning. But as practice reduces this noise, attention becomes available. The person can focus on conceptual choice, deep flow, phrasing, and interpretation. This is the pivot. Reliability clears cognitive space, and that freed space allows meaning to become active. The funnel of mastery shows how practice transforms pressure into freedom. At the top, there is systemic variance. Fatigue, poor alignment, technical defects, and hesitation create noise. Through repeated engagement, the system becomes more stable. Rhythm, terminology, movement, and execution begin to align. Then meaningful freedom can emerge. The learner moves from merely surviving the notes to shaping the music. In knowledge work, this means moving from fighting a messy outline to making high-level strategic connections. There is a danger in control without meaning. Mechanical optimization may produce efficiency, but it can also create external compliance, artificial pressure, and domination. Authentic controllability is different. It creates stable freedom, chosen expression, authentic ownership, and meaningful practice. Variation control without meaning becomes rigid optimization. Efficiency without purpose is not mastery. A researcher does not structure knowledge to eliminate thought. A human structures knowledge to make meaningful thought possible. Authentic controllability connects technical variation control with human purpose. On the left, technical control reduces noise and defects. On the right, human purpose carries meaning, expression, and choice. Authentic controllability appears where these two sides meet. It is the ability to reduce meaningless variation specifically to protect meaningful freedom. The goal is not to make the system mechanical. The goal is to make the system reliable enough for human meaning to move through it. Reliability clears space for freedom. Authentic controllability does not mean rigid sameness. We do not practice to sound like machines. We practice to remove the noise that prevents free action. The purpose is not to eliminate personality, interpretation, or choice. The purpose is to stabilize the axis and timing so that meaningful movement can appear. Practice reduces meaningless variation. It does not reduce meaningful freedom. This is the deeper logic of mastery. The transformation model has 5 steps. First, AI collaborated structure bypasses the blank page. Second, repeated engagement brings the human back to the structure. Third, variation becomes visible. Instability, noise, and weak points are actively detected. Fourth, meaningless variation is reduced. Attention, movement, terminology, and timing stabilize. Finally, human-owned capability emerges. Ownership begins when you can return to the generated structure, reshape it under pressure, and still recognize it as your own. The final message is simple. AI helps build the structure. Practice makes it reliable. Meaning makes it mine. A structure can be generated quickly, but capability cannot be generated instantly. Capability grows through repeated engagement, careful review, meaningful choice, and human ownership. This is why Episode 3 is called Meaning Makes It Mine. AI may raise the starting line, but meaning gives the human a reason to begin, stay, practice, and become.